Logan's Run is probably one of the classics of 1970s science fiction dystopic cinema. Um, and it really kind of checks all the boxes. Futuristic society, likely controlled by computers, created in the wake of some sort of ecological collapse where things are both malevolent and oppressive. We're territory of Saturn III or Silent Running. But it builds off the premise of what if the people saying don't trust anyone over 30 turned 30? Which I will say perhaps is not the best premise to build a film off of. The core premise of the film, at least in part, is so well known as to be almost absorbed into the cultural consciousness the same way that the twist of Soylent Green is. The series is set in a futuristic dome city where everyone undergoes the process of rebirth at the age of 31, where their bodies are destroyed and in theory their souls are reborn into new bodies, except they aren't, they're just killed. Logan, Michael York, is a Sandman, someone sent to kill people who've refused to go through the rebirth process and try to flee the city. Now, the central computer who runs the city assigns him to infiltrate the resistance movement that is trying to funnel people out of the city to an unknown sanctuary, and in so doing reveals to Logan the truth that rebirth is a lie. So, Logan joins up with Jessica, a member of the high-profile member of the resistance, or higher-ranking member, I should say, and tries to flee the city for real. So, the core issue with Logan's Run is that tonally its themes can be described as radically centrist. The system is corrupt and lying to you and needs to be torn down. Also, the youths are bunch of anarchic hedonists who are up to no good, so trust older people. This is fine in the context of the story, but it also it doesn't make it not weird in the historical context where this film came out. Not in the sense of weird being out of the ordinary, but weird in the sense of it feels like they're not exactly, or at least I should back up. I should say I'm not sure how well they're reading the room. Also, being this is the 70s, the movie tries to find a fair number of opportunities to sex it up. Now, this film was rated PG for its original theatrical release, and honestly, I'm kind of surprised this didn't start the ball rolling for the start of the PG-13 rating for nudity. Though, honestly, if the movie came out now with all the nudity exactly the same way, it'd probably get an R. Like, there's a sequence of the film, which I'm not going to show, where Logan and Jessica flee through an orgy, where the sequence has been extremely carefully choreographed to make sure that nobody's penis is in the shot, though there's plenty of breasts and bare butts, and a gutter has a number of topless scenes in the film. I don't have a problem with this in particular, but it's something to keep in mind. Go, oh, this is a PG-rated science fiction film. I'm okay watching this with my kids, and maybe you're not comfortable with your kids watching nudity yet. Where I think the film stumbles is the actual big twist. Not that the world outside the dome is fully habitable, that part is fine. The part where it stumbles is the twist that there is no sanctuary because everyone who tries to escape is killed and frozen by an insane robot they have to get past on their way out of the city. One which is easily overcome by Logan and Jessica. Look, I'm not a big plot hole guy, but that part of the story didn't land because if Logan and Jessica could overpower this guy without them having like Logan's fancy Sandman gun, why couldn't any of the other people overpower him? It just felt like there should have been more than just one old guy out in what was basically the capital wasteland from the Fallout games. Now, I did enjoy Logan's Run, but it wasn't a very, I'm, I'm meaning to watch this movie for years. I'm glad I finally got around to watching it. And that was a pleasant experience. It didn't bore me. The action was engaging, all that sort of stuff. The performances were very solid. Michael York is excellent. Jenny Grutter is fantastic as Jessica. Like, our two leads work really well together. But, and like, also I'd say in terms of discussing whether you should watch it, it's important in terms of the evolution of science fiction cinema and the ways that science fiction movies discuss relevant themes in science fiction. Ones that go from literary science fiction to cinematic science fiction. But I mean, look, science fiction ultimately is films that use the future to talk about the present. And in that context, again, it's always has this weird bit of like, I'm not sure if you're trying to be counterculture or down on the counterculture. Um, and it also doesn't help that it doesn't, it lacks a little bit of visual zip that grabbed me. Um, doesn't grab me from like visually like later Blade Runner would. The characters don't grab me like Star Trek and the Star Trek movies do. Um, and like even some like the visual architectural stuff where they're grabbing doing interesting things with like brutalist architecture and doing stuff to make it look futuristic, um make it look like the city of the future, so to speak. Not quite that either. uh so like as far as whether I recommend it, it's strictly based on, hey, do you like 70s science fiction? Do you want to see more sort of like of the evolution of dystopian sci-fi? Then this is a good movie to see, to see where later films would come from. But that's where I'm gonna stand on the recommendation side of things. Um, all said and done, I enjoyed what I saw, but I'm also enjoyed it in the context of I'm I'm coming to this from a I care and am interested and invested in the history of this genre and wanting to see how things have grown and changed over time, and also in the sense of this film has a reputation, as a history to it, and I want to see it from that perspective. That that's a very limited and unique, not necessarily unique, but a very specific set of reasons for wanting to see this film. And I can't be confident that those line up to everyone else. I It's worth it the time if it comes up for streaming on a service that you subscribe to. Um, it's not a bad way to spend like an hour and a half, couple hours or so, but that's about it. Like that's where I stand as far as a larger recommendation goes. Anything more invested of a recommendation would also be based on somebody having a more specific background.
Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed the show, please like and subscribe. And also consider backing my Patreon. Patreon backers get episodes up to 1 week early of this show and any future Let's Plays. Also, please consider backing my Ko-fi. Toss me a few bucks also helps support the show, and it's not a monthly obligation or anything like that.